Hi, this is my review of Clan Pack number 1, The Outsiders. This introduces 3 clans to the Ninja Crusade 2nd edition role-playing game. If you haven't seen my review of that awesome RPG, I'm going to put a link in the description below so that you can check it out. Now let's talk about the quality of the PDF. The quality overall is great, everything is well organized and written. The document is fully bookmarked. You have really good looking illustrations on the comic book style of things, expressing the theme of the Ninja Crusade quite perfectly. I did find a couple of typos, but despite that, the quality is great. Now first, let's talk about the contents. Oh, it's important that this review could contain some spoilers. I don't know how your game master is going to handle the crawling magpies, the harmonious swarm, and the wicked quills in your campaign, so it's better to check with him first, because here they talk about the history of those clans, their agendas, etc. Well, first we have the crawling magpies. The crawling magpies also have other names, such as the Doro clan, the swamp people. They have stereotypes such as uneducated or survivors. They have fighting styles of dragon, snake. Their favorite jutsu is the way of restless earth. And they have skills such as intimidation, survival, stealth. All of these clans contain the same information when it comes to other names, stereotypes. Well, not all the information, but that is the basic structure. You're going to get names for each clan, stereotypes, fighting styles, etc. What is the history of the crawling magpies? Well, something that I found somewhat noticeable is that all of these clans feel inspired in different ninja stereotypes in popular culture. So for example, in the case of the crawling magpies, they remind me a lot of, I think he was called Sarutobi in Naruto. He's that ninja who controls mud and has like earth related abilities. So here you have the history of the crawling magpies. They basically were born of the destruction of a village. A village was destroyed by the evil empire, and a few survivors were left. Prominent amongst those survivors were the Kita siblings, brother and sister, and so they started to make a new life for themselves, mostly by stealing from the empire and raiding and pillaging those people that took control over their stolen lands, because they had their own village and their property was basically taken away from them by the empire. But eventually they struck a bit of a bargain with the new inhabitants, to the point that the guards of that place started leaving like offerings of food and such, so that things didn't get stolen. It was more like a tribute to the former owners of the land. So the magpies started to develop their abilities at surviving, because they had no land of their own, and they had to take refuge in the swamps. And they also sought the teachings of several ronin to improve their fighting style. And so the crawling magpies developed this way of restless earth swamp type of jutsu, in which they use mud and their ability to swim and go through things as one would swim through muddy waters. And they also used that style rather than jutsu, to attack their enemies. So here you get all the details on their lifestyle, how they have this very strong community or family sense to their philosophy, to the point that they take betrayals quite seriously, and they have joined the other clans mostly because they want to survive. So that's the only reason why they're working as sort of like an ordered relationship with the other clans, because they are still quite prone to stealing, breaking, and killing their way out of different situations. That it's somewhat normal considering the setting of the Ninja Crusade, but the crawling magpies are all about surviving no matter what it takes. And you have the details on the different gifts and triggers. So for example, they have the gift of no place like home. Living in the middle of a swamp carries with it a plethora of disadvantages for anyone else besides the Doro clan. So they have a bonus to checks when operating with swampy environments. And then you have the trigger of sensitive. Growing up along friends and family bound together for survival means that magpie can often be in for a bit of a shock when not everyone is looking out for them. So they have a bit of a disadvantage when dealing with betrayal. You have a list of contacts. You have different bonds. For example, choose one ninja who you respect for their ability to survive regardless of the threat. And then we have information on their jutsu, the Way of Restless Earth. The element is actually water. And the training in the way of Restless Earth is taught exclusively within the most dangerous and dankest swamps of the Triumph province. And ninja who learn it have endured quite a bit of harm to learn its ways. So you have a bonus to movement and initiative within a swamp environment, but you also could suffer a backfire. For example, the swamp is quite unforgiving, so on a failure, you depending on the type of jutsu that you use, you could end up, for example, dazed or poisoned. So you have basic jutsu such as bug touch. With a mere touch, the ninja converts stone and rock into mud. Now this is very useful because otherwise this clan would be restricted just to swampy environments, but with this you can create your own swamp anywhere that you move through. So if you want to have like urban adventures, you could start touching different stones in buildings and the floor, and you will be able to create the environment to work your jutsu. You also have things such as, for example, mud walk. The ninja touches a piece of organic material and passes through it as if it were mud. You have median jutsu such as Fever of the Swamp. With a glance, the ninja can strike a single target within near range with a mystical sickness, which includes fever, nausea, and hallucinations. And then you have advanced jutsu such as Reign of the Gods. If the ninja is out of their element, they can use this jutsu to flip the table on unsuspecting enemies by bringing their element to them. So you basically like create rain and mud, and you can use other jutsu in combination later on, because for example you could use the one with the swamp. You must have a friend of the swamp. That's another jutsu. While in a swamp environment, the ninja now has a greater chance of success as they become one with the swamp itself, moving quickly through its waters and operating more effectively. So you can create that swampy environment, move through it quite fast, and you can even heal yourself when submerging parts of your body in the mud. So this is a very awesome clan in my opinion. And then you have information on the Harmonious Swarm. These ones remind me a bit of Shino from Naruto as well, because this clan is all about insect control and becoming one with insects. Now the history of the Harmonious Swarm is basically one of trying to blend in and hiding within society. They have become inspired by observing different insects in nature, their behaviors, their attacks, their ways of survival. So they have found a way to disguise themselves, to be a part of any society or culture that they blend into and strike when they need to. So you have information on their lifestyle. This clan feels somewhat more alien than the others because they have used insects as their role models. They have like an insect type of mentality. So they are not trusted as much by the other clans. So you have information on their agendas. They are somewhat, it's more like an alliance of convenience with the other ninja clans. They're always looking about for the survival of the swarm, that is their own clan. And you have information on their gifts and triggers. For example, they have the gift of Social Butterfly, which gives them a bonus when traveling and moving around different societies. And then you have the trigger of Cowardice, because others distrust them quite a bit and consider them cowards at times, because they're constantly hiding and blending within different social groups. You have information on contacts and bonds. For example, there is the bond of choose one ninja who distrusts you because you are always so charming and must be hiding something. And then you have their jutsu, the Way of the Hive Life. This is the element of earth when it comes to elements of jutsu. And learning the way of the hive life is all about assimilating into one's surrounding and connecting with allies. So you get a bonus to empathy and persuasion, but it could also backfire, suffering the confused or dazed condition. You have basic jutsu such as eyes everywhere. The ninja forms a link with insects in the area, able to borrow the senses of thousands of vantage points. And you also have insect mind. The ninja assumes the single focused mindset of an insect. So you get a bonus against fear and against pain. You also have median jutsu such as defense mechanism. If in a battle and accompanied by at least 2 other comrades, they can avoid being targeted by foes within near range. You also have advanced jutsu such as one with the colony. The ninja rises above the swarm and asserts themselves as leaders of the colony, allowing them to grant additional actions to a comrade through a limited hive mind effect. You also have some other interesting effects. There is one that you can create like a body double of sorts of your own, or a clone, but instead of being like a shadow clone, it's an insect clone of yourself. That's pretty cool. You can also attack your enemies with swarms of insects. And then you have the wicked quills. Other names of this clan include the Kami clan or the Whiskers. The stereotypes are savage, strong, disloyal. You also have the fighting styles of bear and eagle, and the favorite jutsu of the way of the piercing jacket. You have a bonus to fortitude and performance. The wicked quills are those that are able to use all of their hairs in their body as needles or tentacles. They are probably inspired in that ninja from Basilisk. That really gritty and raw, at times just pretty gritty and raw, is the ninja series of anime and manga, in which there is this very hairy character. I forget about his name, but he has great control over all of his hair. Even he has like nose hairs and he moves them around like tentacles. It's a really bizarre character, and the wicked quills in this supplement, I feel a bit like that. They are a very violent by necessity clan, because the area of land that they own is basically in the middle of 2 opposing forces, so they have to constantly fight on 2 fronts. So they are trained to excel at fighting since they are very little, and at times they develop a sort of like a might makes right mentality. So you get all of that information on their lifestyle and how they are. They work with other clans mostly because again they need to survive, and they bring their battle prowess to bear. Although they do have some enmities towards the other clans, they are not as, for example, distrusted as the other 2 clans because of their excellent fighting ability. In fact, they actually covered the escape of another clan in the past. But they are still a bit of like wild cards in the whole Ninja Crusade affair. And then you have information on their gifts and triggers. So for example, they have the gift of the warrior's eye. Quills are known for winning as the underdog. So you have a bonus when surviving against all odds, to put it in a way to summarize this gift. And then you have the trigger of gruff. The Kami clan is not known for their civility, so they are not very good at certain social situations. You have information on contacts and bonds. For example, you have the bond of choose one ninja who you are determined to teach to better wield a blade and survive on the battlefield. Again, it reflects their constant focus on being effective as warriors. And then you have the way of the piercing jacket, their jutsu. It has the element of wood, and practicing the way of the piercing jacket requires the utmost level of control over one's body, teaching how to control the very hairs that cover their body as weapons. And this could also backfire, suffering into a penalty in your initiative. So you have basic jutsu such as like hands. The ninja suddenly grows their hair up to 10 feet to be used just as easily as their own hands. And then you have protective coat. The ninja makes the hair all over their body grow to a thickness to protect themselves. You have median jutsu such as cocoon. With physical contact, the ninja sends their hair to capture someone, surrounding them surrounding their rope-like strands to hold them in a tight embrace. So they're kind of like a spider web of sorts. And then you have other jutsu, the advanced jutsu of all tangled up. The ninja's hair extends everywhere within a number of feet, depending on your yin, tangling itself with anything touching the ground. Again, that look or that feel of creating a spider web. And then you have unbreakable. The ninja's hair becomes unbreakable and uncuttable, regardless of what weapon is used to attack it. So as you can see, this is a very interesting jutsu that combines offense and defense using your hair as weapons. You also have some other ways in which to manipulate objects and make attacks, but also while protecting yourself. So what do I think of this clan pack number 1, the Outsiders? I think this is an excellent pack. The addition of these 3 clans not only adds new rules possibilities, it also adds those thematic implications that will further develop the conflict and the struggle in the Ninja Crusade 2nd edition. You could create adventures and campaigns around the concepts, the history and agendas of these different clans. So I highly recommend that you get clan pack number 1, the Outsiders. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.